Hello and welcome to The Last Word. Should Anna Hazare join politics either by forming his own party or by endorsing candidates he approves of? That's the subject tonight. My guests are Team Anna member Devinder Sharma, sociologist and author of Political Sociology in India Deepankar Gupta, the well-known political analyst Yogendra Yadav, and the political editor of the Hindustan Times Vinod Sharma. Yogendra Yadav, should Anna Hazare join politics either by forming his own party or by endorsing individual candidates? Do you believe that's the next right step for him to take?
In a sense, what Anna Hazare has been doing for more than 1 year is politics by other means. Having reached this point and having reached some kind of a dead end, I think the only way forward is political in a more obvious sense of the term, which is by forming a political organization, by contributing to a political alternative. So to my mind, the real question is not whether Anna would support, endorse, help creation of a political alternative. The real question is whether that alternative which he supports, endorses or creates would be any different from the ones that are available today. That's where the real challenge lies. But I really do think that in the next few days we would see the next step forward, which would be in a more obvious political direction.
Deepankar Gupta, before we explore whether Anna's alternative will be different to the alternatives available today, let's look at this question about whether Anna should go into politics at all. He is, after all, a crusader against corruption. By joining politics, would he be diluting his earlier mission? Might he run the risk of suggesting to people that he's got his priorities confused, if not mixed up?
Well, I think that Anna Hazare did well last year because he had a one-point program. It was anti-corruption, and because it was anti-corruption, a large number of people from different walks of life lined up behind him. But the moment he gave up his fast in Ramlila grounds last year, he announced that he was now going into right to recall, political parties, etc., etc. At that moment, he lost the momentum. At that moment, at the time when he was most triumphant was the time of his defeat. He should have stuck to the one-point program and stayed there. The moment you bring in other things into the agenda, then different people have different points of view. For example, someone might say, I'm not sure about right to recall, I'm not sure about your way you endorse different political parties, but I'm sure about anti-corruption. And I think Anna lost the momentum by diversifying the way he did, and his party men too, his Anna party comrades, in the same way they went on and on in diversifying, and they lost whatever they had going for them. And I think they have done the nation a great disservice. They've done the nation a great disservice by diversifying the way they did. If they stuck to the one-point program, there would have been a much greater contribution to our political system.
Devinder Sharma, there's a very strong critique that's come there from Deepankar Gupta, who says that Anna should have stuck to the cause with which he was identified, with which he struck a chord with the country, the issue of corruption. By going into other issues, which to be honest he doesn't understand so well, and he hasn't established an emotional chord over, he's actually doing a disservice to the cause and to the nation.
Well, I have got used to listening to all these kinds of advices by people who would never step out onto the field themselves. I would love that, people who really have some good advice for us to come forward, join us, and let's see how we can move forward. The fact of the matter is that for last 1 year, 1.5 years, we have seen the kind of upsurge in India, and that upsurge is now, as Yogendra Yadav very rightly said, that when the government is stubborn, it doesn't want to do anything. The intelligentsia doesn't also want to do anything. I think it's a right opportunity and right step forward. If at all Anna decides, I'm not sure whether it will be the final verdict, but if at all Anna decides, the team Anna decides that we have to provide a political alternative to the present system, and this system is completely the only system that operates in India is corruption. Now, having known that, I think that's the only way forward, and we know how to go forward. We will try to build up all those kinds of the elements that we need to really see that we emerge as a powerful voice. We need to upstage this entire kind of corruption system that prevails in this country. And I'm not close to this idea. I think it's a wonderful idea.
The truth, Vinod Sharma, is that Anna has already made it clear that he has no intention of forming a political party. He has no intention of standing for elections himself. However, he's quite equally clearly left open the possibility of endorsing candidates he approves of. Now the key question is this: is it fitting in a democracy for a moral figure to advise people on how to vote, or do you believe that that actually would derogate from our right as citizens to choose for ourselves?
No, Karan, you really rightly used the word moral. Much of the anti-graft edifice Anna Hazare has built till now is on a moral high ground. And there's a strong danger, a strong risk of people questioning his very subjective judgment about supporting candidates. I mean, you may support a candidate, but I may say, no, he's not good. Look what happened in Hazare. They took a particular line, and eventually all the candidates, we all knew that all the candidates would not pass muster insofar as the Anna test for honesty is concerned, and yet that campaign was carried out. I think that Anna Hazare, I don't know about alternative politics, but he'll be more honest if he floats a political party or aligns himself with a political party the way JP did in the 70s and the way Vishwanath Pratap Singh did in the late 80s. I mean, we would know that he is anti a political formation, that he is for a political formation in order to fight the corruption that has been spawned by a particular political formation.
There's no doubt that from the standpoint you're arguing, it probably does make sense for Anna to launch a political party, but he's ruled it out for himself. So obviously we're now pushing against a wall that he's erected. What Anna has said he's prepared to do is to endorse candidates. Let me put it like this: Anna is a man who has used physical violence to stop people drinking. He's a man who said of voters that they can be swayed by alcohol, money and saris. He said it publicly last year. He's a man who seemingly defended the person who slapped Sharad Pawar. He said, why only one slap? And the truth of the matter is, he's a man who was found guilty by the Justice Sawant Commission of corrupt practice. Why then in that situation should he be endorsing candidates for us?
In the case of Anna Hazare, I personally do feel that if you compare him to Jayaprakash Narayan or to Mahatma Gandhi, he wouldn't measure up to those kind of standards. I'm not sure about actual cases against him of corruption, but I did personally feel, I mean, there are reports and everything.
Can I just to clarify that, the Justice Sawant Commission says that the 2.2 lakhs which were funds of the Hind Swaraj Trust, which was spent on Anna Hazare's 60th birthday, and I'm quoting, was clearly illegal and amounted to a corrupt practice.
In public perception and by law, I mean, if there is a law under which he is corrupt, of course he should be prosecuted, and the law should take course. I think the real question that we are discussing is, here is someone who has certain reputation, has certain moral appeal among people. Should he translate into political capital? Now, I think the parallel with VP Singh doesn't quite work out, because VP Singh was himself a candidate. What he is trying to do, we don't know whether he succeeds or not. What he's trying to do is more a JP-like thing, which is to have a moral appeal and say, I'm not a candidate, it's not my party, but I endorse it. That's the kind of thing Anna might try and do. Yes, there would be cost to it, like Professor Dipankar Gupta has said, some people might move away. But in the long run, whether it supports the creation of a new kind of political alternative is what we should judge it by.
Dipankar Gupta, a moment ago I questioned when I asked Professor Yadav whether Anna was the right sort of person and he had the right sort of stature to advise us on how to vote, the qualities of Anna. Let me put a different sort of problem to you. If Anna is really going to seriously advise the country on how to vote, how can he possibly know everything about the thousands of candidates who stand for election? Clearly, he is going to have to fall back on Team Anna. And that in turn presumably means that Arvind Kejriwal, Prashant Bhushan and Kiran Bedi will be the real moral and political guides. They will be speaking through Anna, but it won't be Anna. Now, are we prepared to accept that Anna becomes a voice for Team Anna?
Well, you see, the fact of the matter is, as I said earlier, that the moment Anna goes about endorsing candidates, I think he'll lose the bulk of his support structure in India. It's all right for some of Anna's team members to say that they know everything. I think there's a certain kind of a political conceit out there, and of course Anna cannot do a study of thousands of candidates who come up for elections. The real point, however, is that Anna can, as an individual in a democratic society, try to persuade you and me to vote for a certain candidate or a bunch of candidates, but he would be letting the movement down, and that is what upsets me a great deal. And I think Team Anna people should realize it is not just about themselves, it's about the country as a whole, and Anna became a kind of symbol of this country because it's fighting anti-corruption.
Okay.
Now we do know that there can be different points of view regarding candidates, and therefore Anna should not enter this fray and open himself up to different kinds of contradictions.
Absolutely.
Remember, Jayaprakash Narayan looked so good because Jayaprakash Narayan was in the background of Jayaprakash Narayan's movement was the emergency, and that is why he looked so good. Had the emergency not been there, JP wouldn't have been such a star figure as he's making him out to be today.
Let's not go into JP in too much detail. Let's come back and stick and focus on Anna. Devinder Sharma, I will accept that regardless of what anchors may skeptically ask, for millions, maybe tens of millions, Anna is a very important moral and cleansing influence. But if he wants to make political capital out of it, I'm paraphrasing the words of Professor Yadav there, then does he not need to distance himself from people like Baba Ramdev, who faces serious tax cases and who is seen by many as a man who gives clean chits to Narendra Modi? If you want to take a moral high ground where you influence people, then the Baba Ramdevs of this world can't share it with you.
Well, I think first of all, as you rightly said, that Anna is a crusader. The nation accepts him as a crusader. And having said that, let me also clarify that we haven't yet decided, Team Anna hasn't yet decided what stand it will take finally as far as the elections are concerned or the electoral process is concerned. But your other question of, teaming with Baba Ramdev, I think there has been a lot of discussion going on between both of them. I am not sure as to what the process finally would be, but I think they are open. They are open to each other. They look at each other as a support, and despite all these allegations being thrown at A and B, we know very well that whenever you stick your neck out into public life the way we have done it, we will always receive this kind of treatment from the government. So we are not surprised. Why I'm saying this is because whether it is you mentioned about Anna, you brought out all those, reeled out all those things against Anna, which I think Manish Tiwari had also reeled out, and he actually apologized later. Let's be very clear about it. These things happen. These things are being done deliberately to tarnish.
No, forgive me. I'm going to interrupt you, Devinder Sharma, just to make one thing clear, that the actual facts I quoted from the Justice Sawant Commission are true facts. I'll also add, for your information and for the information of the audience as well, that the Bombay government then appointed the Sukhtankar task force to ask one simple question, whether action should be taken further against Anna Saab, and the Sukhtankar task force did not recommend action, but equally it did not exonerate Anna. And here I'm quoting, this is what it said: we feel that the observations made by the commission against Shri Hazare are by themselves sufficient to chastise a person like him and to induce him to learn a lesson for the future. In other words, the Sukhtankar task force conclusion was that naming Anna is sufficient to shame him. No further action is needed. So forgive me, I just want to correct, there's no calumny here. This is just a fact that I'm bringing to attention, because if a man wishes to exercise moral influence, then we should be aware.
Let me also clarify.
Go ahead.
Let me also clarify, Karan, that if you look at the entire case, ultimately Anna's people had actually returned that money, 2.5 lakh, whatever it was returned later. So it is not that it wasn't done.
Except for the fact that you don't borrow money for a, except for the fact that you don't borrow money from a trust. But let's not get into technical details. I want to come back to this question about whether Anna can credibly take the role of influencing people in their political judgments. When Team Anna did it during the state elections of last year, and then earlier this year during the state elections again, the impression was that they were being anti-Congress rather than being fair.
Exactly. That is my problem. If, like JP, and I'm not comparing Anna with JP, I stand corrected by Yogendra Yadav. JP was a much taller figure. He had a big role to play in the freedom struggle, and he could have been Prime Minister according to certain historians, had not been for certain biases of certain people who were calling the shots at that time. But he from day one said that he was anti-Congress. He was fighting Indira Gandhi. And you see, emergency came in the face of the struggle he launched against Indira Gandhi. Emergency didn't come ahead of that. So here was a man whose ideological conviction was very clear. I do not know what Mr. Anna Hazare stands for. At one moment he says it's anti-political and anti-corruption. At another moment says he doesn't want to share the stage with Anna Hazare, with the Ramdev, and then he shares the stage with Ramdev without even telling his colleagues, oh, that's what we are made to believe. So where does this man stand for? There are a lot of grey area around him. I wonder whether he has a political ideology. I wish he launches a party so that I can decide where does he stand ideologically, apart from anti-graft, and so that I can decide whether I can join him or oppose him.
Let's then take a break at that point. When I come back, I want to pursue with Professor Yadav the idea that he believes that Anna has reached a bit of a dead end and the way forward is to embrace politics more fully. What sort of embracing does Professor Yadav have in mind, and how does the rest of the panel respond to those ideas? That's in a moment's time. See you after the break. Welcome back to The Last Word. Should Anna Hazare embrace politics more fully? Yogendra Yadav, you began this show by saying that Anna Hazare in a sense had reached a dead end and he needed to consider embracing politics more fully. If he were to come to you and say, Yogendra ji, advise me, what is it that I should actually do, what would you say?
In that unlikely event, I would tell him, Anna ji, say to the country that this country needs an alternative kind of politics, and say, while I will not join a political organization of party, I'm here to help you form one by laying foundations of a new kind of a political organization. Don't call it a party overnight. Give a call to all such forces, and there are many in this country, social movements of all kinds which are trying to do something in politics, trying to create a third force in politics. Give a call to all of them outside the political establishment, outside the 30-40 parties that you have in parliament, to come and form a new political force. Give that call, wait, get people to coalesce, and then start facing tough questions about the entire range that politics must involve.
Devinder Sharma, does that idea appeal to you as a member of the core Team Anna?
Well, I think what Yogendra has said is very apt, and if I were to also talk to Anna, and I think this issue will come up with Team Anna the moment we get away from this fast, as to how to move forward. And I think my advice also would be that we should actually be forming a political outfit if we really want to give an alternative of our own. You know, and that is very important. Rather than tying up with all the political parties that exist today, we should stand up on our own and start slow. Don't have to worry. You know, when Kanchiram began, his people would lose or lose their deposit for several years, I remember. So don't worry about that. But that's the kind of effort we must launch. Look at long term. Don't look at the next 2014 elections. And I'm sure Anna and Team Anna are capable of taking on that battle.
Dipankar Gupta, I'm aware of your skepticism, your belief that in fact Anna mustn't dilute his anti-corruption image. But on the other hand, there's no doubt that tens of millions of Indians have serious problems with the nature of our politics, and they're all looking, perhaps vaguely in an undefined way, for an alternative, for an improvement. If Anna were to set out to provide one, do you think he could succeed, or do you think he would be trying the wrong thing?
He'd be doing the wrong thing. I think Anna should ask himself, why was I so successful in Ramlila grounds? And why was I such a flop in Bombay? And why am I beginning to get a few people around me, but nowhere like the numbers I had behind me in Ramlila grounds? If he looks at these issues carefully, he'll know that the way forward for him is to go back to what he used to be, a person who's a crusader against corruption, and let the political chips fall where they may. The important point is that Anna alone, Anna team alone, has in recent years fought against corruption, fought for the Citizens' Charter, and fought for issues that affect ordinary people in their ordinary lives. By going into politics in the way in which different people are imagining he might, I think he's giving up the fight when he was so close to winning it, because remember, he had millions of people behind him. and he lost them almost overnight by joining politics in the old-fashioned political way. And remember, when you enter politics in political party style, you really have very little option. As someone just mentioned, Kanshiram, well, look where BSP has come now.
Absolutely. Now, Vinod Sharma, we have a very interesting and sharp division of opinion with, if I may so put it, Yogendra Yadav and Devinder Sharma on one side and Dipankar Gupta on the other. Let me put this to you. If Anna was to take Yogendra Yadav's advice and form some sort of political outfit, and if he was prepared, as Devinder Sharma says, for the long haul and for losing deposits to begin with, how would the established political parties view this? With fear and trepidation, or would they say, he's walked into our arena, now we'll gobble him up?
No, they'd be very happy because he'd lose that moral high ground. But may I say that a good beginning for Anna, if he's really determined to launch an outfit, would be to put together the team that he once had. Along the way, he has lost so many comrades, ranging from Mohan Daria to Khairar to the Rajasthan water crusader, what's his name, Rajendra Singh and a number of other people. There is a streak of unilateralism about Anna Hazare which is entire democratic, and I think that Anna Hazare should give up the binary approach where if I question him, he says you are corrupt, you're not against corruption. He should become more inclusive, he should become more tolerant, he should become a good listener.
All right,
joining politics will make him all that.
Well, let's see. At this age, it's very difficult to have a personality transplant. I think he's 70 plus.
Gentlemen, you're beginning to behave like politicians. I'll give both of you jointly the last word. And my thanks to all my four guests for joining me. If you haven't, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Same channel, same time. Good night.